Gray is here on the Blaze Radio Network.
Welcome to a brand new, fresh week. Make it your own. 888-900-3393.
It's fresh. We can smell this week baking in the oven.
Yeah. Yep, exactly right. Get it while it's hot. As my mom used to say when dinner was ready, it's no good cold. All right, we're coming. Okay. How bad was that fight Friday night? Oh, my gosh.
What a waste.
We're going to talk about that in a little while, but my gosh, that was bad. What a disappointment. Tyson was definitely not up to the task at 58. Maybe that's why people said, hey, he shouldn't be fighting at 58. That's just, wow. Well, we'll get into that later on. But there were some more monumental picks over the weekend. I think people are loving his picks. They can't wait to confirm these
the
choices.
based cabinet that Donald Trump is forming, for sure.
Mm-hmm. So more were announced late last week, and weren't any of them over the weekend? I'm just seeing them this morning because I didn't really pay attention over the weekend. But here's Trump's press secretary.
Yeah, this is back when she was running for, I think, Congress back in New Hampshire a couple years ago.
Karoline Leavitt.
His speech last week was arguably the most divisive and disgusting speech that any president, certainly in my lifetime, has ever given. He essentially waged war on half of the country by saying that we are all a threat to democracy because we believe in putting America first. It's not radical to want to put your country and your own people first.
Thank you.
It's not radical to want to have a strong border, a strong military, and to unleash the might of your own economy, not economies around the world. You know, we have seen cultural Marxism trickling its way through every institution in this country. The public school system, the higher education university system, Hollywood, big tech, the corrupt mainstream media that I fought against in President Trump's White House are indoctrinating my generation of Americans into hating our country, hating one another based on race and gender and sex and all of this other BS, quite frankly. We need a congresswoman who is going to fight for our conservative American values, love of God, love of country, love of freedom.
Nice.
I just want you to imagine KJP trying to do that.
Oh. Not if she had 4 million takes. Oh, let me do it over. I mean, she still couldn't get it. No way.
Yeah.
And that seemed to be right off the top of her head. I don't know if it was, there was
just
a well-placed teleprompter, but that was good.
No, that wasn't.
She was really good.
Yeah. That was 24 years old when she.
Yeah, she's only 27 now. 27. So hopefully this will be a great pick. I mean, you can go nowhere but up from KJP.
It's been a devastation.
Yeah, it'll be even more devastating for you when you're out on the street looking for a job. She was once kicked off of CNN for calling out Jake Tapper.
It takes someone 5 minutes to Google Jake Tapper, Donald Trump, to see that Jake Tapper has consistently
stop this interview if you're going to keep
President
attacking
Trump
my
to Adolf Hitler.
Ma'am, I'm going to stop this interview if you continue to attack my colleagues. I would like to talk about Joe Biden and Donald Trump, who you work for.
Yes.
If you are here to speak on his behalf, I am willing to have this conversation.
That's what she's doing.
I am stating facts that your colleagues have stated in the past.
Okay.
Now,
I'm sorry, guys. We're going to come back out to the panel. Caroline, thank you very much for your time. You are welcome to come back at any point. She is welcome
to
come back and speak about Donald Trump, and Donald Trump will have equal time to Joe Biden when they both join us now at later this week in Atlanta for this debate.
All she was trying to do was point out that Jake Tapper has repeatedly called Donald Trump Hitler.
Yeah.
I mean, just stating facts.
Yeah. So many on that network have. And she can't defend it, so she just doesn't want to hear it. And so they shut down the interview. Okay, whatever. Jeez.
Yeah, because he was because you saw that they were leading into the debate, right? It was 3 days before the debate. And
I remember playing that clip at the time. Yeah, because she's really good.
Tapper was one of the moderators, right? So just a heads up, y'all. We got a guy who called Trump Hitler doing the debate.
Fortunately, didn't matter. American people saw through that smoke screen. They're fed up, and we'll talk a little more about that as well, because things are not going well for Democrats right now. It's really enjoyable to watch because things were going well for Republicans for a long time. And you can meet your new energy secretary, well, your new nominee, Chris Wright.
So energy matters. It matters for human lives. It matters for human well-being. It matters for low-income people and social mobility, low-income people to come up. When you hear crazy stuff today, check it out, dig a little deeper. Hurricanes are not growing. That's in the IPCC report. Tornadoes are actually on the decline. Floods, droughts, all of these things you hear ceaselessly, they just simply aren't so. It isn't even controversial that they're not so. But media, politicians just continually abuse these facts. And I'll end with one last fact, because anxiety is growing among kids. I'm sure everyone has seen that. 20% of kids go to bed at night worried about climate change. Your chance of dying from extreme weather today is greater than 95, has been reduced by more than 97% over the last century. There's just an absolute plummeting from 500,000 people a year dying from extreme weather to less than 10,000 the last couple of years, while the world population has quadrupled. So facts matter, human liberty matters, bottom-up social organization has always been the way to a better world. Let's resist this force of top-down control that's not benefiting humans except those in government.
Okay, and saying facts matters. The Republicans and conservatives don't do that nearly enough. They just sit there and get bludgeoned by these climate change goofballs, and they just take it. So, sure, if you're going to allow them to pretend to have all the information, then we're going to get our heads kicked in. Thank you for actually speaking the truth, because most people don't. Most people either don't know or aren't brave enough to share it with the world because they're going to get hammered as a climate denier. But he's I think he's CEO, right, of a fracking company. Is it Liberty Energy? Something like that.
Yeah, I forgot the name, but yeah.
I think it is Liberty Energy. And so, big fracking guy, that's probably a good sign that fracking is going to continue.
I just love it. Like you said, I mean, liberal heads can't figure out which nominee to explode on more.
Yeah.
It's like whack-a-mole.
Because everyone is worse than the last
as soon as one pops up, there's another one. It's awesome.
So great. And most mainstream media outlets like CNN are, of course, freaking out about RFK Jr., too. They don't want him to be the next head of human health and human services. And here's a little sampling.
I was looking at this today, his thoughts on Medicare and Medicaid and the Affordable Care Act, which insures so many Americans. I mean, those are things he would have real jurisdiction over.
That's right. The department touches every single life in America. You know, if you're elderly, you've got Medicare. If you have low income, you have Medicaid. If you have disabilities, you're getting services and support from HHS. And I haven't heard him talk about those issues. And I think it's really important that people ask those questions to know where he stands on that. I know where he stands or stood on vaccines, and I find that really concerning. But one of the things that you see with many people who spread misinformation is that there are little bits and pieces in there
like you're doing
that
right
are
now.
really a good idea. And because of that, it can be really confusing when you're listening to someone to sort out, well, what's good here and what's bad. The idea of focusing on chronic diseases in children
pretty clear on
as
that,
a
though.
national issue, I think that's absolutely terrific. The idea of getting corporations out of having as much influence as they have in governmental decisions is great. Let's take on the school lunch program and get processed food out of there and truly make it a healthy meal. More than 40 million kids get half their calories from that. That would be something there could be bipartisan support for. But those little bits and pieces of really good things are also mixed in with a lot of pseudoscience and information that is quite damaging.
Well, and that's really the question here is when he is talking about that is often what we hear cited from people who say, I'm excited for this pick because he wants to, who likes processed foods or who doesn't think that those school lunches should be healthier. But then you also hear him saying things like, linking vaccines to autism in children, which was debunked. And, this isn't something that happened before and he's changed his mind on
Pause
it.
Pause it for a sec. Actually, the debunking has been debunked. They love to say that was all disproven, but Not so much. There are many different studies that show a lot of different things. And it just depends on who's paying for the study. What result do you want? Because a lot of these studies go get the result that the people are paying them to get, and they try to get that result for them. And so they do. I don't know what you attribute the rise in autism to over the last 60 years. Something's going on. And vaccines seem to be as good a culprit as any other. I mean, all the additives and preservatives and yellow number 5 and garbage we're putting in our food, that's got to affect us too. But with babies, they haven't had any of that yet. They do get the vaccines, though. I wonder if that makes a difference. I don't know. But we should go into this with an open mind.
Sure.
And really take a look at all the various studies and not just focus on one that agrees with your point of view. Because I'd really like to get to the bottom of the autism situation.
Yeah, and there's more to this clip with the wailing of gnashing of teeth if you want to finish with this nonsense.
Let's let him finish.
Before, and he's changed his mind on it because the transition co-chair, Howard Lutnick, who's running this, met with RFK Jr. in the lead up to the election. I had him sitting here. And after a 2-hour meeting with RFK Jr., listen to what he said to me.
Okay. No.
All right.
What did he say?
So I spent 2.5 hours this week with Bobby Kennedy Jr. And it was the most extraordinary thing because let's face it, we've all heard on the news all sorts of sort of snarky comments about him. And I said, so tell me, how's it going to go? And he said, why don't you just listen to me explain things? And what he explained was when he was born, we had 3 vaccines and autism was 1 in 10,000. Now a baby's born with 76 vaccines.
And?
I mean, he was able to convince.
Pause it for a second. Isn't that fascinating? What they cut out of that clip. The whole point.
Yep.
They cut out the whole point.
Isn't that something?
Isn't that something? What lying sacks of crap. I'm just going to take out one little portion, and I'm not going to give the actual fact that it went from 10,000, 1 in 10,000 to 1 in, I don't know, double digits now. 34 or 1 in 60 or something. It was outrageous. From 1 in 10,000 to 1 in, I don't know, 30 to 70, somewhere in there.
Remember, I wrote it right here, and I think it was 1 in 30. But we're going to play a clip in a moment here from 20 years ago where it was, I think, 1 in 76. So it's actually gotten worse. The timeline will make sense when we play the clip.
It's despicable what they do every day to lie, cheat, and steal from the American people.
They do not care about you.
No, they don't. Or your kids. They don't care. In fact, they want you not to have kids through fabulous abortions, which they love more than anything else. I mean, it's pretty close between abortions and vaccines. They love them both almost equally, but I think abortion is just slightly above vaccines.
And some could argue they get to the same place.
Yeah, it could. They could argue that. I bet there's some people in this room that would argue that.
Say what now?
Here's more from CNN. This is Jake Tapper and Sanjay Gupta.
To steer clear of politics, but this really isn't about politics because this is somebody who has been, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who has been pushing quackery, who has been pushing lies, who has been pushing conspiracy theories. You've been talking to experts in the health community, the medical community, preparing for him, RFK Jr., to be given some sort of role in health. What have they said to you?
Well, you know, it's not often that the entire medical and public health community is going to be in lockstep on something, but they're pretty close on this in terms of their significant concerns.
Pause it for a sec. So he's spoken with every healthcare professional in America already? Good. Wow, that was a busy week for him. He spoke with every, because it's unanimous, almost, nearly unanimous.
You only get the best from Sanjay Gupta.
Well, that's great. All right, let's hear the rest. He's been busy.
Yes, in terms of their significant concerns, horror even. Somebody said to me today, I can't think of any single individual who'd be more damaging to public health than RFK.
Wow.
Sure. All right, well, then it must be true.
There you go.
If somebody told you that, it must be true. Right?
And that tells you everything you need to know about the medical community, too.
Yeah.
They are lockstep and don't even try to challenge what they believe.
Golly. That's incredible. You know, probably is the fact that the doctors he has spoken to in his little orbit They probably all are on his side and share his same opinions because he doesn't get out of his little circle there. But step out and go talk to some other people, some new people, and let's see what they have to say. Because I'll bet there's some differing points of view. All right, for those of us holding our breath for the past several months, waiting for the election, we can now exhale. Work can finally be done on the major issues this country is facing, and one of the most significant being our national debt. The fact is, our nation is broke. Worse than broke, we're, $35 trillion in debt, and that debt is a house of cards that can't quickly be dismantled. So the strategy remains the same. Diversify your savings. That's why I buy gold from Birch Gold. So many things are out of our control, out of our president's control. It's important to have safe havens for your savings. Birch Gold Group, my gold company, will help you convert an IRA or 401k into an IRA in physical gold. And the best thing, it doesn't cost you a penny out of pocket. So text PAT to 989898, get your free info kit, and right now, through Black Friday, you'll also receive a free 1-ounce Silver Eagle for every $5,000 purchased. Protect your savings with Birch Gold. Text PAT to 989898 and claim your eligibility for free silver today.
Now, more of Pat Gray Unleashed.
Pat, I hate to challenge Sanjay Gupta's buddies in the medical field and Jake Tapper, who obviously have a problem with Robert Kennedy for HHS Secretary. But over the weekend, here are the endorsements for Robert Kennedy that I saw for HHS. Jared Polis, Democrat governor of Colorado. Liberal mayor of New York, Eric Adams. Former Democrat presidential hopefuls Andrew Yang and Marianne Williamson. Okay, so there's the left, right? And then on the complete other side of the political spectrum, Chip Roy, Rand Paul, and Ron Paul. All of the people I just mentioned are gung-ho for RFK for HHS.
So he's got bipartisan support.
I think so. It sounds like a perfect nominee.
Isn't that interesting? Also on Friday, Casey Means was on discussing RFK with Bill Maher.
We look around us and we know there is. And Trump has asked RFK to do 3 simple things. He's asked to get the corruption out of the U.S. health agencies, produce uncompromised evidence-based research for our health guidelines, and reverse the trends of the chronic disease epidemic in 2 years for children and adults so that we can show up for our 250th anniversary of America stronger than ever. That sounds pretty good to me.
That sounds good, but... that's Trump talking.
That's RFK talking.
Well, I'm saying, but Trump has said he's going to let him do all this. Trust me, the first time Trump gets a call from some big mucky-muck at the pharmaceutical industry and says, hey, you're with my profits, Trump could easily reverse all of this.
Maybe,
Trump,
although
I don't trust any of it.
I'm not a Trumper,
right.
But Trump's already a billionaire who can't run again. Does he really need to kowtow to industry? I believe in my heart that he has been shown some light from RFK about the monumental nature of the American healthcare epidemic, and it has struck a chord with him.
I hope so.
Okay.
Look at who's pushing back on his nomination, especially those that are in the Senate right now, and check and see who they get their money from. And Elizabeth Warren gets $1 million a year from the pharmaceutical industry. Of course, she's going to push back.
That's the thing. That's the thing. The Democrats are in bed with Big Pharma now. That used to be enemy number one. Now they love them.
Yeah,
they're not out there attacking Big Pharma anymore.
And I thought Meghan McCain had a great tweet over the weekend where she said that, if I'm sorry that you don't like RFK as your HHS secretary coming up, but if you hadn't lied to parents about COVID and the COVID vaccine and the lies you've been telling over the years, then Robert Kennedy wouldn't even be a thought for HHS. But this is the reckoning for you lying to us forever.
So they also discussed fluoride in our water.
I thought that you'd find this interesting. Bill Maher has a thought or two on fluoride.
I don't know about fluoride. I know they put it in the water when I was a kid, and I guess they still do. Then I was reading this week because he mentioned fluoride. And again, this is the problem with our health discussions in America. Half the people in this country hear somebody is going to question fluoride, and they go, oh my God, Bobby Kennedy's a crazy person who wants to take fluoride out of the water. And I'm not that person.
Right.
Like fluoride, I don't know. Did it hurt me, what being in the water? Probably not. But again, it's naturally occurring. I don't know why we have to put more of it. Right. If I wanted, I could get it in toothpaste. You know what I want in my water? Nothing. Water. How about that? So I'm not afraid of fluoride, but I don't want you to put in my water.
Thank you. That's what we're saying.
Water. And also I read that it does have health repercussions.
Right. Well, the basis.
Right. I mean, you can't argue with that. Let people decide whether or not they want fluoride in their water. Don't just dump it into the reservoir.
I mean, what he said on Friday is exactly what you said the day or two before. I don't know if it was during the show or in overtime, but it was almost verbatim what you had just said.
I know. I think he's doing his show prep by listening to us now. Some of it, anyway.
Yeah. Some of it, not all of it, for
not
sure.
all.
Yeah. But I will say there's already been repercussions, negative repercussions for the health of Americans since Robert Kennedy was nominated to HHS. And we have a surge of measles. There's a measles outbreak in this country.
Really? I didn't
just
heard
because
that.
Robert Kennedy was nominated. But
that's interesting. Wow. So he's causing measles outbreaks?
Well, I mean, that's what the left is, of course, screaming. It makes no sense at all. But this weekend on social media, that's what they were saying.
Oh, brother.
We're going to have Robert Kennedy at the helm when we have all this surge of measles. See, this is a bad thing for America. Close the borders and maybe you won't have a surge of things like measles.
Right. Leprosy, all the things that we get that have been essentially eliminated 40, 50, 60, 70 years ago that are all making comebacks right now.
Yeah, we're going old school with our diseases now.
Yeah. Ugh. Pretty proud of that. Yeah. Here's RFK and Joe Scarborough.
This is fascinating.
From a while ago.
About 20 years
They were discussing vaccines 20 years ago?
Something like that. Yeah, right in that ballpark.
My son, born in 1991, has a slight form of autism called Asperger's. But it seemed, and again, when I was practicing law, and also when I was in Congress, parents would constantly come to me, and they'd bring me videotapes of their children, and they were all around the age of my son or younger.
The generation
something happened in 1989.
Exactly. The generation. What happened was the vaccine schedule was increased. We went up from receiving about 10 vaccines in our generation to these kids received 24 vaccines, and they all had this thimerosal in them, this mercury, and nobody bothered to do an analysis of what the cumulative impact of all that mercury was doing to kids. As it turns out, we are injecting our children with 400 times the amount of mercury that FDA or EPA considers safe. A child on his first day that he's born is injected with a hepatitis B shot. Under EPA guidelines, he would have to be 275 pounds to safely absorb that shot.
And yet we're just constantly pumping our kids with these vaccines.
And what happened was that in 1988, 1 in every 2,500 American children had autism. Today, 1 in every 166 children have autism. And plus, 1 in 6 children have other kinds of learning disorders, other kinds of neurological disorders, speech delay, language disorders, ADD, hyperactivity, that all seem to be connected, that are all connected, the science shows are all connected to autism.
You know, Bobby, what we've always found, you and I could debate 1,000 different issues, whether it's Terry Schiavo or the environment, I think would agree on the environment. But in this case, you've got the federal government coming in saying, well, there's no good science. And of course, in politics, science always gets diluted. Why hasn't the federal government stepped up and worked more? Because listen, Bobby, I can't prove it tonight. You can't prove it, but intuitively, you look at the spike, you look at what happened with the thimerosal, there is no doubt in my mind, maybe it's 2 years from now, maybe it's 5 years from now, maybe it's 10 years from now, we're going to find out that the thimerosal causes, in my opinion, autism.
You know what? The science...
Wait, what?
I would love to see a clip today. I don't know what Scarborough has said about RFK, HHS. I have no idea.
Yeah, we need to keep an eye on that. Because, he feels the opposite way today. It's amazing that back then people could have these discussions and they weren't bludgeoned to death. You could talk about vaccines. You remember Jim Carrey and Jenny McCarthy running around screaming up about vaccines for years?
Yep.
And that was fine. They weren't blacklisted for it.
Eventually.
Well, I think she blacklisted herself.
Yeah.
Jim Carrey's still getting movies. I mean, maybe not movies anymore.
Where's he? He's doing some sort of chakra something or other on a hillside, I'm thinking.
Jimmy's doing Sonic, the new Sonic.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah.
Is he the voice of Sonic?
No, he's the bad guy, the big fat guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Sonic the Hedgehog?
Nice. Okay, I had no idea.
Yeah, Dr. Robotic.
Okay.
Robotic, yeah.
And I remember Trump right when he was running in 2016. Like, he showed an open mind to this. I think Trump was fertile ground for Robert Kennedy on vaccines.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
I think it's worth looking into. I don't know for a fact that it causes. I do know there have been studies that indicate there is a problem and studies that indicate there is not a problem. So, which is it? I don't know. I don't know. But as I've mentioned before, I know people who have had multiple kids that were autistic, and they did a lot of research into vaccines and things and really thought that the mercury situation was among the problems. So who knows? Who knows? Here's a little nugget from Stuart Varney.
Oh, yeah.
On what HHS is currently spending their money on. Our money
I'm
on
going to change
it.
the subject for a moment, but this is interesting stuff. Taxpayers paid roughly $38 million every year to employ 297 DEI staffers at the Department of Health and Human Services.
Oh, God.
Wow.
Just to make sure we had our DEI bases covered at the Department of HHS. Wow, that's...
Well, there's big changes coming. We all know that. See if you agree with Sylvester Stallone's comments here about Donald Trump over the weekend.
When I did Rocky, if you remember, the first image was a picture of Jesus, and it says Resurrection AC Club. I found a church that had been converted to a boxing ring. So the image pans down from Jesus onto Rocky being hit. And at that moment, he was a chosen person, and that's how I began the journey. Something was going to happen. This man was going to go through a metamorphosis and change lives. Just like President Trump. We are in the presence of a really mythical character. I love mythology. And this individual does not exist on this planet. Nobody in the world could have pulled off what he pulled off, so I'm in awe. And I'll just say this, and I mean it.
Okay.
When George Washington defended his country, he had no idea that he was going to change the world. Because without him, you can imagine what the world would look like. Guess what? We got the second George Washington. Congratulations! Bye.
Bye.
Wow.
There you go.
Was he just saying goodbye to his Hollywood career? Is that what is that what that was?
Expendable 77 is not going to come out.
It's not coming out. I don't know. I think he's pretty insulated at this point. You know, there's a few of them. John Voight, Sylvester Stallone, they can get away with it. Others don't work ever again.
Yeah, I mean, when you're
James
worth
Woods.
$400 million.
Yeah, who cares?
Sylvester Stallone.
Who cares? He's made his money. He's made his fortune.
More freedom to speak.
Yes. I will say this. Look at all of the celebrities, the big name A-list celebrities. Kamala paid to endorse her. And where did that get her?
Oh, gosh.
Nobody cared.
Debt.
Thankfully, America saw through all of that garbage. We didn't care if Taylor Swift was going to vote for Kamala Harris. I'm not going to, just because you're that stupid. I'm not going down that road. Yep. Oprah Winfrey, by the way, we'll talk about what she actually donated to or how much she got from the Kamala campaign.
Right.
I mean, first of all, it wasn't a penny. She didn't get a penny from them. Now it's, me personally, I didn't, it was my company.
Oh, gosh.
You know, I've got employees that had to be paid. Oh, all right. And it wasn't just $1 million either. We'll get into that and lots more. Haven't even scratched the surface yet. More coming up.
Pat Pat Gray Unleashed.
Got some tweets here from Bob Corona. Wow, you guys just skipped over BYU, Nebraska, and Missouri football this morning. Yeah, we did, didn't we?
Did we? I don't know. What is that?
Well, none of them played, right?
Well,
none of them played serious football. Sad. Heartbreaking. Yeah, it's hard. I'm crushed still. I'm still recovering. Usually takes 3 or 4 days, and then I'll be all right. But yeah, BYU lost to Kansas. And you're thinking, wow, a 3-6 team. They've lost 5 games by 6 points or less. And so, I mean, that they still, BYU should have won that game, but way too many mistakes. Just stupid things happened. Nebraska then lost to USC, right? Was it 28-20? 28-21?
Yes, it was,
like
Pat.
That blows.
I brought a visual aid we can play in overtime or whenever you want.
And who do you have left?
We have Wisconsin and Lincoln, and then at Iowa.
Wisconsin gave Oregon everything they wanted and more.
Awesome. Good to hear.
Yeah. And then Missouri lost to South Carolina, so it was a bad weekend for college football for us.
Still trying to get bowl eligible over here.
I will say this. My alma mater high school team, the Capitol High Bruins from the mean streets of Helena.
What's going on?
They're in the state championship this weekend.
Go.
Okay?
Let's go.
They won again.
I'm a lifelong Bruins fan. Capital High.
Are you a lifelong Bruins? Yeah, okay.
Go Capital
Bruins. Yes.
Whatnot.
What was the other thing? The Packers won. Did the Falcons win?
Oh my gosh, no.
No, really? No. Didn't notice.
I'm ready to crown the Denver Broncos the greatest team in the NFL.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Gonna make a long playoff run, Denver. It's gonna be a shock if you can make it in. I don't care what seed you have. I mean it. That's a good team. They got a young, great quarterback in Bo Nix and a defense that is stifles their opponents week in and week out.
Okay.
I expect big things from Denver because I put money on you after this game.
And how bad was it?
Oh, what was it? 38-6, maybe something like that.
So you got spanked.
Oh yeah, but we got to see Michael Penix for almost a quarter.
Oh. And how'd he do? Oh, not well.
Just like Kirk Cousins.
Oh, no.
It was a bad game.
Oh, no. Hasn't Cousins been pretty good this year, though?
You know, that's the thing about
been playing
Nebraska
pretty well.
and Atlanta, Pat.
Yeah.
Some games were great.
Yeah.
Some games
not so
we
much.
suck. And I would just like to know, week in and week out going in, do I have a crappy team or a great team? I don't want a roller coaster, please.
Yeah, well, you're not going to get that answer until after the game. Unrepentant thought criminal tweets, Karoline Leavitt as press secretary is going to make presidential press briefings great again. That's for sure.
Can't wait for this stuff.
Just not having Curly there will be so fantastic.
I don't have any intelligence.
Yes,
yeah,
that's
right, exactly. Fury and energy. Vaccine-induced autism is absolutely a thing. It's incredibly rare, but it's a thing. The rise in autism overall is a multifaceted issue. Yeah, it's probably true. Millennial Pathead. Now, most kids seem to be diagnosed as somewhere on the spectrum.
Yeah, but who's making that declaration? Experts, right? The doctors?
Yeah, experts.
Sure.
Sarah the Band. No parent wants to admit they're doing more harm than good with putting over 70 vaccines in their babies. It's easier to believe Big Pharma and keep your blinders on.
Yeah, I mean, that explains America during the COVID era, too, with vaccines and masks and fill in the blank, social distancing, all that stupid stuff.
They wouldn't insist on us putting these in our bodies if they weren't safe, right? Safe and effective. How many times do we hear safe and effective? Really? Because it was really, in reality, neither.
Yeah.
So
honestly, if you want to get someone down the vaccine road, then just ask them if they thought that the COVID vax did a good job. And if they say no, then you can just open up that door. All right, well let's open up the big book of all vaccines and see which ones you still think are great.
From Frank Johnson's alter ego. I wonder why CNN and MSNBC never ask RFK where he's getting his information. Wouldn't be the experts, would it?
Right.
Lone Wolf 2965. Of course, RFK is responsible for the jump in measles. And it has nothing whatsoever to do with unvaxxed, unscreened, unvetted people streaming across the border by the thousands.
No.
You mean the millions. Of course.
Yeah, right.
I mean by the millions.
Right.
And you're right. It had nothing to do with that. I'll not hear it. I will not hear the babbling about the illegals bringing in disease to this country. It's just not a thing.
By the way, Haitians are leaving Springfield, Ohio in mass, just for the record.
Oh, no, don't say that.
I know.
Don't say that.
I know. Tough to take, right?
Oh, no.
Shoot.
Darn it.
It's like elections have consequences, and they see the writing on the wall.
It is like that. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's appropriate, because what a sad, sad thing to hear this morning, to start out the week with that. Oh, where are they going? Do we know where? Are they going back to Haiti, or?
I don't know, but when I find out, my dogs are going to be inside more often than not.
Okay. All right. So, don't. Of course, you wouldn't forget this because you probably didn't know it in the first place. But we've got Alex Jones coming up in about an hour. We'll talk to him about the situation he's in right now, which is just incredible.
Criminal, what it is.
It is criminal.
It's criminal.
It's certainly un-American, and it probably does cross the line, the threshold to criminality.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
I can't wait to discuss the developments from this past weekend with him.
Yeah. Some interesting stuff going on. And we'll get into that with him in about an hour. On the left, even with the election being over, some are still calling Donald Trump hideous names. And among those are South Carolina Congressman Jim Clyburn had this to say about Donald Trump.
But now they are seeing it.
Well, how are we seeing it? He's not president yet. I mean, are you visiting another Hitler? Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly what I'm saying. I said the 1930s in Germany.
Yes, you did.
And, of course, and we can go to Mussolini in Italy. These things...
So you don't think that's a little hyperbolic?
No, you may think so.
Okay.
I'll tell you what's hyperbolic is asking the Senate to approve all your nominees without any vetting. That's what's hyperbolic.
Oh, God. Without any Oh, my gosh. Have you seen the clowns in the Biden administration, dude?
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, those were all great. Those were all great picks. Don't worry about those.
Yeah, and if you voted to confirm some of these people, obviously Clyburn being in the House doesn't apply here, but you can sit this stuff out because you got Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski. They voted to confirm Dick Levine over at HHS. So I don't want to hear them pitching a fit with any of the other Trump nominees. If you thought Rachel Levine was qualified to be in the Biden administration cabinet,
you got nothing to talk about.
Yeah, why don't you just stay out?
Nothing to talk about. Maybe Clyburn should listen to Charles Barkley.
Okay. I want to congratulate President-elect Trump. Y'all won fair and square. I want to congratulate you. I want you to do the best for the American people. Because I got some numbers here. 75 million people voted for President-elect Trump. 71 million people voted for Kamala Harris. So it's not a contest in my eyes where I want all 75 and 71 million to be successful. They're all Americans. He's the president of the United States, and I wish him nothing but the best. But we lost. And I just want to say this to the Democrats, which I'm an independent who voted Democratic. Do me this favor. Shut the up. When you win, you get to say what you want to. When you lose, you need to shut the hell up. Oh, President Biden, they didn't get him out the race soon enough. Kamala didn't do this. We lost because we had no game plan.
Right.
We still haven't solved the immigration problem.
Right.
Have no viable answers.
Yeah.
Never addressed inflation.
Correct.
Bringing all these stupid stars out to rally the vote. What was that? Hey, I love Beyonce. What bringing her out? That ain't gonna make me vote a certain way. Cardi B. I like Cardi B. That ain't gonna make me vote a certain type of way.
Okay.
You guys lost because y'all stupid. Come up with solutions. I don't think everybody voted for Trump is racist.
Thank you.
Or whatever. I'm not a fan of the guy, but he's the president. I'm gonna have to respect the.
How about that?
Yeah.
How about that? Excellent.
Yeah, and
excellent.
And the support for Trump is organic. I mean, did you see? It's a thing now in football. When you score a touchdown, you do the Trump dance.
Yeah.
And it appeared at another sporting event that we'll play later. But I mean, it's everywhere now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great.
It's none of this
awesome.
manufactured crap that Barkley rightfully points out is just fake and manufactured, and people didn't buy it. Thank God.
Mm-hmm. Yep. They spent a lot of money too. We told you about the Oprah thing. She said she didn't get a penny out of it. Well, her company, your company received not $1 million though. $2.5 million is what she got in reality. Okay, $2.5 million to the Oprah company, whatever it's called. Is it O? I don't even know what she calls it.
Is that what it? Yeah, sure.
But not only that, but they just in the last couple of weeks spent $2.6 million on private jets.
Yeah.
Over $12 million in the 15 weeks since she announced on private jets.
Yeah.
Wait, what happened to climate change? Wow.
Let's see, over $12,000 on ice cream pints.
What?
Yeah. Let's see. Let's see.
Jeez.
$6,000 for a site fee at the Board Game Cafe, Snakes and Lattes in Tempe, Arizona.
Okay. Well, that was important.
Because Tim Walz made a stop there.
Yeah, you had to have that.
Over $60,000 catering at a hotel. I mean, this is so just.
This is how they burned through not just $1.5 billion, but they actually between Kamala Harris and Joe Biden's campaigns, they burned through $2.1 billion. $2.1 billion.
And thankfully, they're not the ones given the keys for the next 4 years. Where over the weekend, the U.S. national debt officially surpassed $36 trillion. So that's neat. Another milestone.
Some of the things they spent on was, of course, in addition to the avalanche of advertising where you saw them, I mean, everywhere.
I know.
Everywhere. They also bought off social media influencers. They had a for-hire door-knocking operation. They paid Brits to come here and campaign for her.
Foreign interference.
Pricey rallies, the Oprah Town Hall, of course, celebrity concerts, even drone shows. It was a spending spree that averaged right around $100 million per week.
God.
That's incredible.
That is unbelievable.
They even reached out to Hillary Kennedy to post on her social media pro-Kamala stuff.
Did they?
Yes, they
right.
did.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It wasn't much, but it was enough to choose like, no.
Wow, they reached out to Hillary.
They reached out to Hillary Kennedy.
They were just, that was a shotgun blast. They had no idea who they were talking to or anything like that.
Wow. Jeez, that's amazing. Did she say how much?
I think so, but I don't remember.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, next time we have her in, we need to ask her.
Yeah.
I know it was enough for me to say, I was like, I would have done it. And then afterwards, I'll be like, yeah, I don't approve that. I got paid for that.
So you may be easy, but you're not cheap.
Well,
Or
way
you
to,
are cheap.
way to
and
have
cheap.
principle.
Yes.
Chris Cruz. I mean, I would have totally taken the money and I would have said how great Kamala was. And then after the election, I've been like, they paid me off, y'all. I wasn't real. Boy, that would endear you to your audience.
Yeah. They'd love that. Our audience would love that, Chris. All right. If we learned anything from this election, it's how important it is for us to fight, as Trump said when he got shot in the ear. We learned how desperately the left wants to take the fight to our babies who are unborn and eliminate them from this planet. It's really amazing, and that's why Preborn Ministries fights for those babies. Preborn's network of clinics are positioned in the highest abortion areas, and you know where those are? All minority areas. Like 80 to 85% are in Black and Hispanic areas. Wonder why that is. Well, it's because they're fulfilling the mission given to them by their founder, Margaret Sanger, to eliminate the undesirables, as she called them. When those on the left shout abortion, we've got to shout life. So if you can, please help Preborn in its quest to save the lives of babies today. If you have the means, Maybe you'd even consider a leadership gift to save babies in a really big way. Your tax-deductible donation of $15,000 would place an ultrasound machine in a needy women's center, and that would save countless babies for years to come. But whatever you can afford, maybe it's $1, maybe it's $28 for one ultrasound. 5 ultrasounds would be $140. Whatever it is, to donate, dial pound 250, say the keyword baby. That's pound 250, keyword baby, or preborn.com/Pat.
Pat Gray Unleashed now continues.
Oh, and from one celebrity to another, Stephen A. Smith had a message for Oprah Winfrey.
All these celebrities, Jennifer Lopez, Beyonce, Oprah.
If we don't show up tomorrow, it is entirely possible that we will not have the opportunity to ever cast a ballot again.
Oh my!
You're going to look an audience in the face and you're going to tell them that if you vote for Donald Trump, you may not ever be able to cast a vote again.
Yeah, that's what you did.
Who believed that? Who believed that coming from Oprah? Truly, who believed that? This is the kind of stuff that alienates an electorate.
Thank you.
That alienates a vote or a voter. Because the freedom that you tell them they have, you try to confiscate morally by letting them know you ain't worth a damn unless you vote the way we say you should vote. Who's going to go for that in a general election with an economy rife with inflation, with over 12 million people coming crossing the borders, with people wondering about their dollars, the dollars that they earn, the dollars that they have in their pocket, the value of that dollar dissipating before our very eyes. But in the same breath, you're telling them that you got to take even more money out of their pocket to finance immigrants that come across the border illegally at the behest of the Democratic Party looking to secure a voting block. Did you think that would work? Did you think that would work?
Wow.
And he was just mad at what she said. He didn't even get to the money she took for being up there to say that.
That's great.
Yeah.
Nicely put. And so true. How dare you try to fearmonger her into office like that? And look at the damage you do to people's psyche. Now they're all afraid that they're going to lose their freedom. They're not going to be able to vote anymore because Donald Trump's in office. Jeez, so irresponsible. And again, un-American. 888-900-3393. More Pat Gray Unleashed coming up.
Pat Gray Unleashed.
Pat Gray is here on the Blaze Radio Network.
Great to have you with us. Got some tweets here. The Pickled Squirrel tweets, call me crazy, but didn't that one checkpoint, Ellis Island, I think, medically screen everyone who got off the boats? They did.
Yeah, that's so
That is so provincial,
school.
though.
You can't be doing that.
Come on. Yeah, this is the 21st century now.
Thank you.
We don't care who has diseases anymore.
That's a fact.
We can't be bothered with that kind of stuff. And we can't even ask them why they're here. What are you doing?
Right.
What are you going to contribute to our society? Nope. None of our business.
Can we ask them who they are?
No.
What?
No, you can't. No. That's almost like the ID thing at the polling places. You don't want that. That'd be really discriminatory. From Jimbo, find me one unvaccinated child with autism.
Oh, that's interesting.
It is.
Remember that RFK fun fact? Mm-hmm. What was it? Hundreds of kids in the Amish community, and like 2 or 3 of them had autism. And remember, none of the Amish don't vaccinate. And then those 2 or 3 that did have autism had been adopted after they had received vaccines.
Interesting. Isn't that
That's science right there.
Yeah, I mean, it's anecdotal, I guess, but, sounds pretty reasonable to assume then.
It's interesting.
Maybe the vaccines have something to do with it. I don't know. Smallmouth Bass tweets, notice Charles Barkley said we lost. He's still a Democrat. Carol remarks, so Charles Barkley just admitted he voted for stupid people that had no plan?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. Good point. Adrian Slade Show. I thought Charles Barkley was a Republican during the Rush Limbaugh era.
Was he? I know he was an independent. Didn't he threaten to run for governor of Alabama as an independent?
Seems like it.
Seems like he was much more conservative than he is
I know
now.
the video he said he's an independent that voted Democrat. So
Wow, if you're an independent that voted, I mean, that's pathetic.
That is pathetic.
That means you have an open mind and you chose Kamala Harris. I understand if you're just a slave to the Democrat Party and you're going to vote for whoever has the D after their name, but you're an open-minded independent and you went for Kamala?
Right?
Okay.
From Steve, how much did Kamala spend on busing people to her rallies? I don't know, but I'd love to find out. Don't forget, Alex Jones joins us in about half an hour with the latest on his fight to keep his company, to keep his livelihood, to stay afloat, to stay out of jail. I mean, who knows what they're planning with him and others. Fortunately, though, there's help on the way. January 20th. So we'll get into that with him. But first, let me tell you about Hillsdale. History, economics, the great works of literature, the U.S. Constitution. Did you study those in school? If not, or even if you did, it might be time for a nice refresher course while time and technology have changed so much. The basic truths about our world and our place in it remain constant. That's why I'm excited to tell you about Hillsdale College's free online courses. Free online courses. They're offering over 40 classes on enduring and essential topics, all at no cost to you. You can explore the works of C.S. Lewis, dive into the book of Genesis, understand the meaning of the U.S. Constitution, and even study the rise and fall of the Roman Empire, the Roman Republic, all from your home. But the course I highly recommend right now is Marxism, Socialism, and Communism. This 6-part documentary-style series features Hillsdale professors breaking down Marx's life, his writings, and the impact of Marx's ideology. Learn about the brutality of the Soviet communism, the horrors of communist China, and the roots of cultural Marxism in modern America. It's a vital course to understand and confront the injustices of these ideas. Start learning today at hillsdale.edu/Pat. It's free, it's really easy, and it's incredibly impactful. hillsdale.edu/Pat.
Pat Gray Unleashed.
Oh, just really quickly, scientists, we were just talking about in the Hillsdale commercial, the Roman Empire. You know, they're looking into the actual cause of the Roman Empire collapse right now. And there's a bunch of scientists on this. I don't know why all of a sudden, hey, let's revisit the Roman Empire collapse. So scientists have apparently uncovered an unlikely event that led to the Eastern Roman Empire's collapse 1,500 years ago. Apparently, the Romans miscalculated their Persian opponents, which caused their downward spiral, leaving them weak and allowing Islam to rise in a manner that essentially wiped out the once powerful civilization. The two groups were at war from 54 BC to 628 AD for control of their territories, but the Persians took over Roman trade routes that were critical to their victory. The other thing that they had been saying that they're not saying in this particular study is that climate change was involved. Climate change hurt the Romans at the time.
Please stop. No.
But this study,
oh no,
the researchers said here, we think that looking for climate change and plague as the cause for every significant change in history is problematic. This approach can especially harm the current climate change debate.
Aha!
When claiming that past climate change caused catastrophic disruptions in society in cases when there were none or limited effects. Such claims may inadvertently support arguments that state since climate change has always occurred, The current man-made one is not a serious issue.
Holy crap. Who's saying that?
Can you believe
Who's
these
being
stinking scientists?
Listen to that.
They're telling us right there that the reason they're doing this is because, and they have to go back and change history. What was it Michelle Obama said? We got to change our history. We've got to change our conversation. We got to change. I'm scanning desperately for it right now.
I think you covered it all, though. I think you pretty much got it all.
Did.
Yeah,
I just wanted to hear it from her.
Change our conversation.
Right.
I mean, so they're saying we may have evidence that climate change was a thing, 1,500, 2,000 years ago, but don't say that because that's going to ruin our whole thing today.
Exactly.
Our scam today is in jeopardy for that.
You don't want people to think that climate change has been present on this on this planet forever. You don't want them to think that. We're trying to hoax them into believing that it's a brand new thing. I mean, and just human climate change is all that's ever happened.
The only thing that's stunning about what you just said is that this was said publicly.
I know.
This is normally something that they say on the down low.
It's the quiet
maybe
part.
in an email that hopefully never sees the light of day through a FOIA request or what have you.
Right.
But wow, they're actually openly admitting it, that don't talk about history in real terms because it will screw up our grift today. Man.
Yeah, incredible. It's incredible to me.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
That's unbelievable.
I mean, we talk about this all the time, and then when they admit it, it's just kind of stunning because it's usually the quiet part, and when they say it out loud, it's really fun.
And Barack knows that we are going to have to make sacrifices. We're going to have to change our conversation.
Right. See,
we're going to have to change our traditions, our history. We're going to have to move
into
a different place.
Into a different place.
Okay, Mike. Whatever.
Well, Big Mike said a mouthful there.
Yep.
And I think you'll agree. That's exactly what they've done.
So wait, Islam's going to hear this, and they're going to hear what you just said, and they're going to feel like that they're getting the low end of the deal here, because you started off saying that the rise of the Persian Empire and Islam and whatnot.
Right.
Oh, but wait, it was actually climate change.
It was actually climate change.
Wait till they find out, and then.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's why NASA is working on them right now, trying to build them up.
Oh, that's good.
Hey, remember geometry? Yeah. Thank you guys for it. And so,
I mean, it's a
geometry.
Can I just? Okay. Don't give credit to geometry. I'm not going to have that. I think it's a good time to give a shout out to Charles Martel in the Battle of Tours in 732 A.D. I mean, that's the guy who saved Western civilization.
Well, we don't want to forget Charlemagne. Don't forget Charlemagne.
Screw Charlemagne. No, it's Charles Martel, uniting all the kings in Europe to keep Islam from controlling that continent. That's the most important event in world history. Except for Jesus. I got it.
What are you, Jeffy?
Sorry you had to bring that up.
I said there's a carve out for the Lord. When you take that one aside, it's Charles Martel, 732.
Yeah. But when you make statements like you did, you will get some pushback.
Yes, you will.
Yeah.
Yes, you will.
That is good that you amended it a little bit.
Oh, I've learned.
So this is concerning. Democrat Representative Wiley Nickel.
Oh, this guy.
Has an idea for Democrats moving forward.
Never heard of this congressman from North Carolina until this clip, and wow, he is a loser.
Good way to hear from him. Here we go.
If Trump attempts to weaponize the justice system against his political opponents with Matt Gaetz at the helm, we could see incoming Senator Adam Schiff as our shadow attorney general, arguing against replacing our independent prosecutors with Trump loyalists. If Trump seeks to eliminate the Department of Education, Congresswoman Johanna Hayes, a former Teacher of the Year, could step up as Shadow Education Secretary to loudly defend public education in the United States.
Is he seriously
If Trump orders Marco
recommending
Rubio to hand Ukraine and much of Eastern Europe to Russian President Vladimir Putin, Congressman Greg Meeks, as Shadow Secretary of State, could be a strong voice in support of maintaining international relationships and protecting democracy at home and abroad.
Yeah, we don't have a democracy.
Senator Michael Bennet as Shadow Treasury Secretary, Congresswoman Susan DelBene as Shadow Commerce Secretary could help ensure the middle class and small businesses have a voice in government and call out Trump's proposed tax cuts for billionaires and
Is this an
corporations.
insurrection?
Yeah,
A shadow defense secretary, Congressman
calling for
Adam
a shadow
Smith,
government.
a great representative of the people of Washington,
Weird.
and not a Fox News host, could counter Trump's threat to use military force against his political opponents and work to ensure that the Department of Defense stays loyal to the Constitution and not some wannabe dictator.
You getting this?
And Senator Tammy Duckworth could
Wow.
argue against cuts to the Department of Veterans Affairs that would delay the benefits and care our service members have
who's
so rightly
proposing
earned.
that? Who's proposing
If Trump
that?
hands over the EPA to big oil ally Lee Zeldin, we could see Congresswoman Kathy Castor pushing back for environmental protection and conservation to protect the air we breathe and the water we drink. And if Trump pushes to ban abortion nationwide,
We got more.
Congresswoman Rosa DeLauro could step in as shadow
that's what we need,
Secretary
Rosa
of Health and
DeLauro.
Human Services
Yeah,
to
she's
defend
awesome.
women's right to choose and argue against the gutting of Medicare by
And
Trump
continue
and
to
his cronies.
murder babies. It's so.
Mr. Speaker, new times require new solutions.
Wow.
The shadow cabinet
Like an
isn't just about opposing extreme MAGA attacks on our government. It's also about making clear what we stand for, not just what we're against.
Okay.
That stinking guy is dangerous.
Yeah, I don't know.
Holy cow. You're calling for a shadow
What
government?
does that mean exactly?
Right on the House floor? And how would you do that?
I don't know.
How would you do that?
Is it a press conference they hold when Rubio
Wow.
is meeting with the Russians? I mean, either way, you're undermining the government.
Yeah.
Even if it's just a speech or something.
Yeah. I mean, you're essentially, are you not calling for treason here?
Well, he's got a D after his name, and there's power in the D, so he can say whatever the hell he wants to and get away with it.
I guess
That's
so.
dangerous, because if a Republican were doing that, if Kamala had won...
It'd be an insurrection.
Oh, it would be, this guy needs to be brought up on treason charges.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. They would do that. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got rhetoric from Debbie Wasserman Schultz right now, too. Who knew she was still around? But
I thought she lost or
she
something.
is. She's still around.
she?
And she just said that Tulsi Gabbard is, quote, likely a Russian asset. She's likely a Russian asset?
It's about time for lawsuits from Tulsi on this
It
stuff.
sure is. That's despicable. And so they're still doing it. God, I don't know. It's incredible. What they get away with is absolutely incredible. Let me tell you about Home Title Lock. Have you ever checked the title of your home? If you're like me, the answer is probably never. And that's exactly what scammers are counting on. In today's world, you need to take personal responsibility for protecting your biggest asset, your home. The FBI calls it house stealing, and it's one of the fastest growing crimes in America. Here's how it works. A criminal fills out a one-page document, really easy, with all of your information. Then they forge your signature. They stamp it with a fake notary seal and then file it with the county. In Florida, it costs $1. Somebody just did this and stole some Floridian's home for $1. And then all of a sudden, your home's not legally yours anymore. So then what they do is they're not trying to sell it, usually, although they've done that too. But they want to take a loan against your equity, and then you wind up with the bill. Oh, it's despicable, and it can be prevented. That's why I trust Home Title Lock. Their triple lock protection monitors your title 24/7. It alerts you to any changes, and it works to restore your title if you're a victim with no out-of-pocket cost to you. So don't wait until it's too late. Go to HometitleLock.com, use the promo code UNLEASHED, and you'll get a free 30-day trial and a free title history report, too. Protect what's yours. Visit HometitleLock.com today.
Subscribe today at blazetv.com/Pat. Pat Gray Unleashed. We'll be right back.
Remember the FEMA employee that was just fired? Marnie Washington? Because she told employees to avoid the Trump houses. The houses with the Trump signs in front, just skip over them.
Mm-hmm.
They don't need hurricane help. Well, she just keeps talking about the fact that this is not an isolated incident, and it didn't come from her. This came from others. She says the discrimination within the Biden-Harris administration toward Donald Trump supporters apparently widespread. Check this out.
And someone feels uncomfortable, We can't go to that home. If you have loose dogs and someone on the team is comfortable with dogs and another person is not, we can't go to that home because of safety precautions.
So you feared the Trump houses. The people on FEMA were fearing the Trump houses like they were fearing people with vicious dogs in their backyard.
Exactly. And just and that's based on the trends. You can ask FEMA.
Based on the trends.
What is happening?
That's based on what trend?
Because originally when she was on that podcast and she said, it's de-escalation, we thought, okay, maybe there was a confrontation, right?
Yeah.
Surely there's an explanation. Yeah. Oh, hell no. The confrontation happens when the FEMA employee is uncomfortable because they see a MAGA sign in the yard.
Unbelievable.
Oh, my gosh. Keep talking, Marty.
I love that she's like, they fire me, they're going to regret the day that they fire me.
She's like,
good for her.
This is the policy of the Biden administration, Biden-Harris saying Trump people do not get our help, period.
Yep. And so don't tell me that he had nothing to do with the DOJ prosecutions, with the state prosecutions. No, that's not a DOJ thing. That was a state that really. Really? Okay. And speaking of Brain Dead Joe, he apparently he's in South America right now. They're in Brazil. He's at the G20, and he wandered off into the jungle during the summit.
Where's he going here? Where's he going? Joe!
Where are you going?
Like what?
Oh, boy.
What's back there? Trees?
I think it's a little girl back there.
Okay.
Just
in the gym. But Pat, did you see that group picture that they took at the APEC?
I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen it? Go ahead and put that, Joe. Can you find Joe Biden? Do you know where he is? I'm going to help you out. He's in the back. Go for it, Joe. Show me where Joe Biden is. There he is.
Okay.
But then in front of him is Xi.
Yeah.
And then Trudeau.
Ooh, don't care for that.
Why are we putting the president of the United States in the back row?
Okay,
yeah,
so
that's interesting.
There's a rumor, and I'm not sure. By the way, Joe made everyone wait 5 minutes, I think.
Yes, he was late.
So he was the late one. So he should get in the back just for that. But I haven't substantiated this, but is it in alphabetical order? Is that it? Is that what happened there? Or
well, isn't it Xi Jinping and then Justin Trudeau?
No, I think it's Canada, China, United States, and Vietnam. We're in the back. But I don't know. I may be wrong. I haven't. Somebody just mentioned that.
That's possible.
Okay.
It's possible.
But I would put him in the back row regardless. Hell, I'd make a third row just to put him in it by himself. But he looked like a leader, didn't he? He's doing us proud down there.
He is a leader, and he's a leader who's putting Ukraine first, and I really admire that. I respect that a lot. You know, the leader of the United States of America, what you want from him is to put Ukraine first in all things.
Sure.
Am I right? The first to get the money, the first to get the aid, they're the first to get the military equipment, and we finally okayed, I mean, it's about time, we finally okayed the long-range missiles that they can now fire at Russia. Thanks to us, and I'm sure that Vladimir Putin will thank us. I'm sure.
No, this is not good.
We are not friends to Vladimir Putin. We never have been, we never will be. But this is asinine, this is insane, and it's a prelude to a third world war. Is that what you want? Because I don't. I am really not friendly toward a major war with Russia right now.
I mean, that's what Biden just gave Donald Trump for Christmas. World War III.
He okayed long-range missiles to be used by Ukraine against Russia now.
Unacceptable.
Which is something he said he wasn't going to do.
Right, because he said it would be World War III.
Well,
yes, here we
this
are.
Is coming from him.
Yeah, I mean, and this has been a weird weekend for the Ukraine-Russia situation, America's involvement. You had Zelensky saying, I'm looking forward to getting peace next year with Russia. And then you had Putin did a conversation with the German chancellor in his first call with the West since the war began. So that looked promising.
Yeah.
And then out of
you have
nowhere, you have Joe Biden going, oh, yeah, it's time to use the long-range missiles and get deep into Russia if you need to.
That's bizarre.
And then you have Britain and France saying, yep, cool, go for it. And then Putin volleys back. All right, well, we're probably going to be using nukes if that happens. I mean, geez, how many days? What's the bug say? 63 days until Trump's in the White House. Oh, my goodness. Not soon enough. Can we stay out of World War III for 2 months?
I know you guys are upset, but do you guys see the brand new deal we made with Lima, Peru?
Oh, yeah, we got the trains.
We got trains coming for Lima. Go ahead, Joe, play it.
So this is an exciting day in our partnership.
Isn't it, though?
The United States will support the city of Lima as it develops a new passenger train line that's going to connect downtown to the eastern suburbs. The Caltrain rail system in California will contribute more than 100 high-quality rail cars and engines. And American companies will provide over 50% of the services for this project and the supplies for this project. When it's finished, this rail line will expand access to reliable, affordable transportation for some 200,000 passengers every single day.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it, huh?
Wait, where is this?
It's Peru.
Lima?
Peru.
Yeah, Lima,
it's
Peru.
not really in Peru.
Of course
right?
it is.
It is in Peru. Yes, sir.
We don't bring lies to you, Pat Gray. Meanwhile, while we're...
That's not AI.
No, that's not AI, sir. No,
He's
sir.
bragging about
making
America bringing trains to Lima, Peru.
Yes,
Now,
sir.
I don't know if are we spending tax dollars or are we just getting them to sit at the table?
I have no
the two
idea.
companies, I think, involved. But regardless, we're using our influence in Peru for choo-choo trains,
Wow.
passenger trains.
Wow.
At the same time, Xi Jinping opens huge port in Peru funded by China. $1.3 billion investment. I mean, they are in our backyard. Hello. But we got choo-choo trains for people that commute in for work. That's good.
You're welcome.
Way to flex, America.
I thought maybe the Peruvian announcement was the transcontinental train that we're trying to build
we're not there
across
yet.
the.
It's not the end of the year
no,
yet. It's
we're
not
not.
the end
Okay,
of the
we're
year
not there
yet.
yet.
So
All
hold on.
right.
And you know, Blinken's been busy. I don't know. Do we have the clip of him talking about the funding right up to the very last minute? We're going to be giving money to Ukraine for their war.
Oh, good.
In Russia.
Oh, good.
I forget what clip this is, Joe. I don't know. It's 29.
And it sounds a little something like this.
As we're working to make sure that Ukraine has what it needs to effectively defend itself, the United States continues to step up. We've obligated just recently and pushed out the door another $8 billion in security assistance for Ukraine.
Another $8
that was in September.
billion!
Another almost $500 million just a few weeks ago.
Yeah,
And
right.
President Biden is committed to making sure that every dollar we have at our disposal will be
Goes
pushed out.
right to Ukraine.
Wait, keep it up. Put it up. Right until January 20th, he says.
Oh, my gosh.
Right
that's
till January
unbelievable.
20th.
All right, we're going to talk to Alex Jones about his situation, which is unbelievable, too. Next.
This is Pat Gray Unleashed.
All right, in just a sec, we're going to talk to Alex Jones about what's going on with Infowars and get the update from the person himself. But just to take you back to a few years ago, the Sandy Hook situation, right, where he was sharing what he thought about the Sandy Hook situation. I didn't think that, but he did. And do you not have the right to speak what you believe on the air? Well, in America, you do. That's a First Amendment right. Anyway, he got sued for that by the Sandy Hook families because apparently they went through some harassment. And he lost that lawsuit to the tune of $1.5 billion. $1.5 billion. Now, no matter how you feel about the Sandy Hook families, and I think all of us are sympathetic toward them and hate what happened to them and would love to have that back. But is there any right-thinking American who believes that you can find someone 35 or 40 times what they've made in a lifetime, and that's okay? The Eighth Amendment to the Constitution protects citizens from excessive bail, fines, and cruel and unusual punishment. Call me crazy, but I think a fine of 35 or 40 times what a person has made in their lifetime, that seems like an excessive fine, as well as cruel and unusual. Violates both. He's been violated with the First and the Eighth Amendments. So his property was being auctioned off last week. And there's some developments that have happened since. So let's welcome Alex to the show. Alex, thanks for coming on. Welcome to The Blaze.
Hey, thanks for having me. And I've got huge updates that I'm going to break here.
Okay.
But first, let me just be 100% clear. And I don't blame you and others for not knowing exactly what happened, because I didn't figure it out until the second show trial in Connecticut 2 years ago, right at this time, but almost exactly 2 years ago at this time. They had one in Austin, Texas, in a controlled Democrat judge's jurisdiction, and then one up in Connecticut. I mean, how do you get a fair trial right where it happened? So here's what I want people to know. 12 years ago, coming up on the 12th anniversary, 12 years ago, right around this time of the year, Adam Lanza gets a gun that his mother legally bought, a Remington Bushmaster. He takes it illegally and kills all those kids.
Right.
Now, the internet doesn't believe it. The internet, hundreds of millions of views on YouTube just of one video that another person made. I barely cover it. The first year or so, say, okay, yeah, it happened. I cover the controversy, and then I don't cover it for years after years after years. Then Hillary decides to run against Trump and buys $24 million, according to her filings, of Sandy Hook ads with a short clip of me saying, yeah, totally fake. Okay. Then I get deplatformed everywhere for other stuff the media made up, but not for that. And then in 2018, they sue me and then say I didn't give discovery, so they default me and find me guilty. So the judges then have trials on damages, but pretend like they're actually real trials and let them put on fake evidence, but I'm unable to defend myself. So that's all on record. That's what happened. Then they asked for $2.76 trillion. I know that doesn't sound true. Just type in Alex Jones.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about the $2.76 trillion. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, see, and people don't believe me. I wouldn't believe me either.
No, it's true. We've looked into that. It is absolutely true.
So, yeah, Bloomberg, AP, you name it.
Yep.
Type in Alex Jones, $2.76 trillion. That's the GDP of India. So then,
so you didn't have the GDP of India on hand?
No, I'm not Glenn Beck. Glenn Beck did his research when I was on last week, and he said, because it's actually ended up in the bankruptcy came out, that I made about $55 million in the last 30 years on air that I kept. So,
well, I think that's about what you told us when we talked to you a few months ago. Was it in your lifetime you've made 50 or 55 million, right?
Yeah. And again, I was audited on my own expense to the tune of $3 million by the federal judge when they made all the accusations when I went bankrupt 2 years ago. They said, Your Honor, he's hiding $360 million. They just pulled out of the air. He said, fine, I'll instruct Free Speech Systems to have outside accounting firms. They had 3 different ones come in over the last years, and the judge said in court on June 14th when he fired the federal guy over my case, he said, no, Mr. Jones told the truth. None of what you guys said was true, and then he fired the U.S. trustee and the rest of them. So then I was in personal bankruptcy over my company. The judge said, but you can order a liquidation. Then they said in the liquidation, the lawyers on the other side wanted my name, my likeness. The judge in a hearing a month ago said they couldn't have it. He said he wanted hearings about that before the liquidation. So the U.S. trustee assigned by the Justice Department, because the Justice Department can come into rare cases because, quote, public interest, saying I was a crook, went ahead and had the auction last Wednesday. But 2 days before, on Monday, the 11th, he changes the rules and says no longer will be a public auction with a big online respected auction firm. He said by Wednesday morning at 10 a.m., I will take sealed bids from bidders, and I will choose the winner, and I choose to take one that's lower if I want. Those are the new rules. He said he had the right under the judge's order, which the judge said in an emergency hearing last Thursday that Elon Musk lawyers, by the way, came into. The judge said, I did not authorize this. This was not an auction. Everyone should be very uncomfortable about this so-called auction. And he ordered an evidentiary hearing that he hasn't set yet. So here's the update. There was no auction. By the way, without a judge's order certifying the sale, any of it, they came in, the U.S. trustee on Thursday morning, threw us out of the building, literally cut the power to the studios, cut the refeeds off, so literally commandeered, or in my opinion, hijacked the building. So that's a huge issue that happened. And then they announced everywhere that they owned it and it was theirs. Then he had to release the, quote, bidding information to the other, quote, bidders. They got the information Thursday night, and here's the breaking news. And then this will all be in the news by this afternoon. I'll just stop right there, and it'll all be with exhibits. Everybody will be able to see it. It's just stop there, but I don't have to say anymore. They are crazy enough, the plaintiffs, to add an addendum document to their sealed bid in an auction that didn't happen, that was a private sale disguised as a bid, detailing how they directed the U.S. trustee and how they control the process and how they came to the directive that they were in control of the process and how they directed the so-called auctions. Now, in the rules of federal bankruptcy auctions, let's just say this, it was perfectly to the letter violated at every level. I mean, if this was golf, this would be a hole-in-one, but a negative hole-in-one. Absolute, total perfection of corruption. My lawyers never say things are a slam dunk. They never say things are cut and dry. And they're very respected bankruptcy lawyers. They say they've never even heard of anything like this. The whole thing is so comical. So that's why when the so-called Onion owner went on Good Morning America with Stephanopoulos Friday, and Stephanopoulos said, I heard you didn't have the biggest bid. He goes, well, you know, we had the best bid. And that's what the U.S. trustee, Chris Murray of Houston, you can look it up, it's all over the news. I mean, Chris Murray, Alex Jones. You'll see him say, well, it wasn't the biggest bid, but it was the best bid. So 2 days before, they change it, make it secret. No longer is it public. No longer can you bid. The definition of an auction is property sold to the highest bidder. Now it is a so-called auction that never happened. They seized the building without a court order, which is basically piracy, and complete color of law. You know, a cop who is a cop can't off-duty put on his uniform and start going out and pulling over, you know, hot chicks. He goes to prison for that. So basically, they totally overreached their authority. This is cut and dry. The judge, just on the face of it, said, wait a minute, this wasn't public. You couldn't bid up. I didn't even authorize this auction. I told you to have hearings. I authorized a future auction. I did not authorize an auction. I told you at the last hearing this. You exceeded your authority. I'm going to get to the bottom of this on an evidentiary hearing. Well, we thought we had to depose the U.S. trustee and his lawyers, a guy named Wolfshaw. We thought we had to get all that. Well, it turns out they thought hiding in plain view was the way to go and added an addendum again to their so-called bid that details how they brought in 15 different groups to combine and claim, now get ready for this, that my $1.5 billion that I so-called owe them that is on appeal, that is not seen in any court of law as a money, it's not even like a derivative, would be pledged, part of it, towards this, so they pledged my future earnings in a judgment that they had not perfected towards the purchase and did not even put the cash in for it, and they call that the best bid. And that's why when he was asked by the judge, Chris Murray, last week, Judge Chris Lopez, what was the winning bid? And you can read this in Bloomberg. Chris Lopez says, I cannot tell you how much money it was, because it gets better. In their addendum, they explain that they filed with it, with their so-called bid, they explain that no matter what other bidders bid, they would then leverage up to the $1.5 billion judgment any amount needed to outbid someone. And it says right in the auction rule, it's best and final, and you must disclose your bid and then publicly disclose each bid. But this wasn't even a bid, it wasn't even an auction, and it was a secret lever, like in a video game where you have unlimited lives, or like a card game where you have 100 decks with any card you want, but they're not up your sleeves, they're on the table, and you're playing somebody who's playing fairly out of one deck, and you have, hell, not 100 decks, you have 1.5 billion cards that you have stacked on the table, a giant warehouse of cards, and you're playing someone who's playing out of one deck fairly. That is literally the definition and the perfect analogy of what happened, my friend.
Wow. I mean, it's stunning. It's so un-American. It's just almost impossible to get your head around this. Now, is it what we've been reading over the last week or so is that the Sandy Hook families got together and decided on an $80 million settlement, that they would accept that? Is there any truth to that? Or are they still insisting on the $1.5 billion?
Yes, let me tell you what happened. And this is all in the news. And I couldn't talk about this because it was in sealed mediations in Connecticut with a federal judge. They wanted actual federal judges in courthouses. This is on the eve of the last trial, two and a half years ago. And in a courthouse this year, 7 months ago in Fort Worth, Texas, in the federal courthouse. So I'm there for 2 days each time. One day in Connecticut, 2 days in Texas. And the lawyers from Texas and Connecticut come in and they say, listen, we're going to beat you. There's nothing you can do. And we basically want almost all your earnings in the future. And I went out with my lawyers in the hall, and I said, watch, they're going to want me to politically change. No amount of money will they take. I said, let's go in and say, what do they want? So we go in, and in Connecticut was the first time, and the head of their law firm, Josh Koskoff, looks at me and he says, listen. He says, we are like the Godfather. You seen that movie? And I go, yeah. And he goes, we own this state. There's nothing you can do. He goes, you're going to be talked to after this. He goes, I want to meet private with your lawyer. So we leave, go to a restaurant after with my lawyer, and his name's Norm Pattis, very respected, and he's a witness to this. And Norm Pattis says, they want you to agree to stop talking about the Second Amendment. And I said, let me guess, there's more. And he goes, yes. Off record, they're going to provide a list. So it was literally sell out to them, and they were just going to drop it if I would become their creature. Then Texas did the same thing, but then separately in phone calls to my lawyers, not off record, they came back and both groups said the same thing. And then it gets worse. In court hearings in the last 3 months, they told the judge, we're ready to settle, but we have a list of demands about what he'll say and do on the air. And they pin it on he won't talk about us anymore. But then there's a whole other list of things they're going to provide that are political. So, yes, they said, first I offered them at the new mediations this year, post-judgment, $70 million. I said, that's more than I've ever made in 30 years. I said, I'll offer you $70 million over 10. They said, no, we want $86 million. And then I said, there's no way I can do that. They said, okay, well, we'll go down if you have a list of demands. I said, let me guess, it's the same thing. It's a bunch of, they said, yeah, we got to get you the list. And I said, nope, I'm not doing it. It's over. And so that's it. So they don't want money. They've always said they don't want any money. They're all over the news saying they want to silence me. And what's crazy is they think they've already had this Texas, Austin, literal globalist, pro-Antifa, Soros-funded judge. Same thing up in Connecticut. You can look them up. And the whole time they have just demanded that I do this. But now they're actually in a court where it's an actual judge, and they tried the same crap. So when this all comes out, and I'm telling you, I'm just going to stop here. You won't have to believe me. You won't have to believe our filings. Attached to all this is all the documents, and I'm just going to stop there and just tell you that this is absolutely beyond epic, and I am in the twilight zone. And I agree with you, Pat. I can't even wrap my mind around this. And just understand this. I literally was thrown out at 10:30 out of the building. I went on one of my other talk show host shows, took over Harrison Smith's show at 8 a.m. They're in the building telling me get off. They're in the building saying we're going to go to the judge and get you in trouble. I said, you don't have a document. The judge said that this auction wasn't approved yet. So they just called the internet service providers and cut the power. Then they order the employees on penalty of violating court orders with no documents in their hand to cut the feed. I said, fine, I'm not putting the crew in this position. I said, I'm leaving. I drove 3 miles to my other backup studio for the Alex Jones Network. That's literally just a small little pocket studio. And before I get there, I get the call. And they said, yeah, they just ordered us to turn the power off to the studios because we had a refeed. That cuts feeds to stations who then are calling going, where's Alex Jones? We had already signed a contract, hadn't wired them the money yet for our backup satellites. We called them. They go, we already turned the satellites on last week, Alex. We got you. I said, oh, thank God. So my affiliate relations guy calls hundreds of radio stations, and most of them got flipped on within 30 minutes. Some are automated, so they didn't answer. They got pissed off, and we called us. We called them. But by the next day, by Friday, all of our stations were back on. But literally, we got hijacked, and that's why people are following me at Real Alex Jones on X and at AJN for Alex Jones Network at AJN Live. But they have said in the news, you can pull these up, that once they're done doing this to me, they're going to do it to people like, quote, Tucker Carlson and Glenn Beck. And I'm going to find those clips from 2 years ago when they won their fake judges. I'm going to send those to you. But this is so dangerous. This is so crazy. And again, I remember Ron Paul, who I love. Been on my show probably 100 and something times. And when this was all going on a couple of years ago, I called to have him on as a guest. He'd been ignoring my calls. And he said, Alex, I'll come on, but no more Sandy Hook. And I said, doctor, I haven't covered it in years and years. I said, I don't talk about it. And he goes, Alex, it's everywhere. Don't tell me you're not talking about it. And I said, doctor. and this is the last thing, we learned when they won the fake cases that a top PR firm out of New York, when as soon as Trump won in 2016, ran these thousands of stories and articles, thousands, saying I was attacking him, coming after him. They were raising money for their gun control group, who, by the way, is funding the Onion's takeover. They were on Good Morning America. And it's all just a Democratic Party gun control group using the families for PR. They used me saying I was attacking them for raising over $100 million, they're now reporting. They got $75 million from Remington. And so that's how they made themselves pertinent, was connecting themselves to me and then to Trump, and kept themselves relevant. And so that's what this was. And I didn't understand it until I've been through this. So I don't blame other people for saying, oh, yeah, it's terrible what Alex did. Folks, I didn't do it. Okay? And so I'm just telling you, this is how their psyops work. And it's like saying Trump says the KKK are very fine people. He didn't say that. He said they're terrible people 30 seconds later. So the truth is, people now understand the lawfare. They understand how the scam works. And I was told Wednesday that Elon Musk was upset. I'm going to leave it at that, at Mar-a-Lago with Trump. The next day, his lawyers showed up. They've entered the case. They've asked for all the files. I've been told, I'll leave it at that. And I'm going to be meeting either today or tomorrow. Well, let's just say some people here in Austin that work very closely with Mr. Musk. I mean, very closely. And so it's on. And so Trump and Musk and everybody understand this is existential. We're making our move against the tyrants. And I just want to thank Glenn Beck, because we've had our differences, and an idiot years ago, I'll bet this I've done. Glenn has been a champion of free speech, and so have you. So I just really appreciate you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is so un-American. We're just, it can't stand. It just can't stand. So as we sit here now, there is no deal with the Sandy Hook families. You don't have an arrangement where you can pay them a smaller sum of money, and they're still planning to confiscate your future earnings completely? Where does this go from here?
Let's be clear. The lead attorney for them said on ABC News last week, this is only the beginning of Alex Jones's lessons. This will never end. I have a non-dischargeable debt, okay? If I gave them $1,499,000,000, it would not be enough, okay? It will never be enough. They want to keep me in the system. They want to keep me in the system.
Jeez. Alex, good luck. Tell people where they can get your show.
For now, Infowars.com is back up after the Onion.
It is. Oh, good. Okay.
Infowars.com is back up. My show is back up. Real Alex Jones on X. And, we're still on for now. We'll see what happens. Pray for us, and God bless you guys.
Okay. You too. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Good luck. Unbelievable. I mean, just unconscionable. All right, got to tell you about this silent health threat that affects 1 in 3 Americans. It's an overworked and sluggish liver. Your liver impacts your weight, your energy levels, your clear thinking, productivity, even sleep. When it's not functioning well, it can also lead to serious heart problems. Our livers are under constant attack from GMOs, microplastics, toxins, you name it. All kinds of things are attacking your liver. If you or someone you care about feels sluggish, drained, just can't seem to shed those stubborn extra pounds, let me recommend that you try Liver Health Formula. It's a premium supplement that's designed with 11 clinically proven botanicals to support and detoxify your liver, helping you feel refreshed and ready to tackle every day. Over 2 million people have already discovered it and experienced the benefits, like Mr. Harrington, who shared with us. At first, I was skeptical, but the improvement has been amazing. The tired, foggy feeling is gone, and I have more energy for longer durations. Now, there's an exclusive deal just for my listeners. Try Liver Health Formula and get a free 1-month supply of nano-powered omega-3s with your order. Go to liverhelp.com/Pat. It's getliverhelp.com/Pat. And claim your free bonus gift today, too. That's getliverhelp.com/Pat.
Pat Gray is unleashed.
Yeah. I mean, there is just so much there. Wow.
Yep.
It does sound like he's still in the studio, though, right? It sounds like he's back in the studio for now.
I think he went in this week.
Yeah, for now. Yeah, for now he's back in.
Back in the studio, and you can get it wherever you got it before, if you were getting it. So there you go.
But go ahead and follow him on his new account.
Oh, yeah. AJ, what is it again?
AJN Live.
Yep.
Alex Jones Network?
Yes, sir.
Yep. Wow. I mean, I forgot about the $2.76 trillion.
Madness. I mean, it's absolute madness.
Is clearly unconstitutional as any penalty ever assessed to anybody in the history of this nation. And nobody talked about it. Wait a minute, you won $2.76 trillion? Really? Well, I guess if Alex Jones invades India and then funnels all of their GDP into this fine, I guess he could pay it off in like a year. But short of that, and then it's just $1.5 billion. So then it sounds like, well, okay, that's much more reasonable.
Talk about an Overton window.
Yeah.
You talk about
That's exactly what that is. Overton windowed him. Oh, okay. Well, now it's only $1.5 billion. He can do that. Please. That's easy. My gosh. I mean, it's stunning.
Yep.
All right.
Well, I hope it works out. This is a very, very important moment in American history.
Yeah, it is.
As far as I'm concerned, free speech is on the line.
Yes, it is. All right, we didn't get to all of the Jake Paul stuff and Mike Tyson thing. Man, you saw the fight. Maybe we should talk about this in overtime. But you were there, right?
I was there.
Disappointed, were you?
Very disappointed.
Sucked, didn't it?
And by round 4, a lot of curse words were going towards Mike.
I bet.
Not Jake, Mike.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Gosh. Oh, no.
Everybody turned on him.
Oh, boy. Well, he couldn't do anything. He got out-punched by like 100 punches, right?
This is Pat Gray Unleashed.